I'm really excited about this talk, which is how to plan time away from your business, real strategies that actually work, with Kelsey GK, Gilbert Krelling, Becca Herpin of Inside the Square, Kate Scott, and Poppy Shots of Showcase Design Studio.
Showcase Creative Studio.
That's it. And I just wanted to have just talk about two things very briefly. Firstly, how this conversation came about. Christy Price. I was having a chat with her and I was saying, this is what I'm thinking about for the summit, for the design section, for the AI one, and then about the business growth and marketing. And she said, I want to know how people take time away from their business. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know if that's like business growth or marketing or whatever. And she goes, no, I think it would be really interesting. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, this is actually a really interesting chat that's not really spoken about in things, because it was always about business growth, and actually this is real life, and how does that look? And I thought lots of people will be interested, or I hope they will be. I am.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. First of all, I'm honored to be in such esteemed company on this call. It's so delightful, and I feel like I've done this twice, and one time I did it really well, and one time I did it really poorly. So I just want you to know that I'm coming at this not from the perspective of having accidentally made it work, but actually had to be very intentional in making choices on how to survive planning to step away and kind of thrive and figure out the next direction that you go into on the other side of it. So just like a quick little, who is this person? I'm Kelsey Gilbert Kryling. I have a 4-month-old named Jasper. I have a 4-year-old named Jasper and a 5-month-old named Julian. They were the impetus for my 2 big breaks, my time away, and love them so much. They're so great. I am the founder of Week of the Website, been around since 2014. I'm the author of Squarespace from Sign Up to Launch. And I am now working on Eventually, which is an event ticketing software for Squarespace Commerce. And thanks to Christy Price as a great YouTube cohort, I am working on a Selling on Squarespace YouTube channel, which is very fun and exciting and very different for me. So that's me. So as I said, I have stepped away twice. The first time with the birth of my first son, Jasper, and my business was in a really different place at that time than it is now. I had a co-founder at the time, but I was still actively building websites. So candidly, I do not do that. I have an incredible team of folks at Week of the Website who do all of our client work, and I am now in the role to oversee and lead the team and all of that fun stuff. So I've done this in 2 different ways, and I think there's kind of 2 sides of it, right? There's the before and then there's the after. When you're prepping to go out on mat leave or take a break of any kind, I can speak mostly to having, some time to prep and step away with intentionality. I know that there is a whole other side of this of when you have to step away unexpectedly. And I think that is always really challenging, but not something that we can really proactively discuss as much. So ideally, some of these things you can actually put into place now to prep you for those eventualities. But I think the most important thing is before you leave, for whatever reason, you have to know what you do. You have to know what has to continue, know what can pause, and document all of it. One of the things that I've found to be true is that my business was different each time I came back, depending on how I prepped on the way out. And I think that can be really powerful and really detrimental. But before I go forward, I do want to acknowledge that for most of you, if you have an org chart, this is what it looks like, right? You are everything. You are your visionary, you are the integrator, you are sales, operations, finance, content design, client success, tech and dev, admin. You're all of it. And that makes walking away feel absolutely impossible. I just want to say, this is normal, right? My company uses a business framework called EOS, the Entrepreneur's Operating System, that gives us a lot of structure to be constantly looking to this accountability chart or org chart to understand who owns what. But most of you, like, stepping away means all of these things have to be accounted for, which is just so agonizing. So I want to acknowledge that. But I think that you are a person who runs a business, and that means life is going to happen for you. And the more you can understand and appreciate that this is your deal, the easier it can get. Now, for a lot of you, you may have other team members who fill in pieces of this chart, or maybe you're the top of each of these, sections of your accountability, but you have other people that support you. I hope that for you. But I think for everyone, it is useful to sit down and start thinking a little bit about what you actually do. Your business is going to look different from my businesses, from everyone else's. But for everyone, having some time to like really sit through and understand what the pieces of your work are is going to make it easier for you to decide what needs to and can be handed off. Someone gave me some really good advice once. They said, when you're an entrepreneur, you're always juggling a million balls. Some balls can bounce, some balls will break, and your job is to know the difference between them so you can figure out which ones you can let drop, because sometimes you are going to have to let things drop. And I think that's why having a good understanding of your own org chart, whether it's just you or you and someone else, is really important in prepping for this. I found out that I was expecting my second child in a very unexpected way. And I was going through like a really significant business transition at the time. And when I found out that I was pregnant, I immediately knew it was like I could see and feel a shot clock starting in my head. Was like, I now have this many months until I have to step away. I also knew that my body is not that great at being pregnant. I turn out great kids, but the process is an absolute mess. And that ability to do work was going to decline over time. And so we immediately started going through this accountability chart, figuring out what needed to be done, what things had to be carried forward, and what stuff could be kind of paused while I was gone. I had the benefit of working with a fractional leadership team who supports me in this. But I think this is a really great place where you can start talking to other people that you consider mentors or team members of your own personal advisory board, right? Of just figuring out, what do I need to take care of in the time that I'm away? For most of you, that's going to be sales. For pretty much everyone here, it's going to be execution of the actual projects that you do. And I think figuring out how those two can kind of play together is going to be really important. And so understand what's there and then take advantage and document it. I'm very lucky to have an incredible team of people that have supported and kind of carried us forth through this. But after we went through the process of getting all of this stuff understood, documented, and transitioned over to people, I walked away. I took that time, and things didn't blow up, right? There were challenges, there were issues. The first time around, everything blew up because we didn't do any of that planning. We didn't know what I was doing. We didn't know what I was responsible for. We didn't have people to hand it off to, or we didn't have a plan for where it was going to need to go. Huge problem. Last piece of this, and I want to be really respectful of everyone else's time so I don't get too stuck, is understanding that when you come back, you are going to have a functionally different company because you are functionally a different person, right? Whether you've experienced loss, whether you've experienced a period of just reset, whether you have a new child, your life is going to be different and your business is going to be different. I would strongly recommend that you don't pick things up again if you've already done the work of transitioning them. Now, I am speaking from a place of sometimes doing well at this and sometimes not. I was just trying to help a client with, or a team member with some client documentation. And I was like, hold on, I got to go do a thing. I need to go. I'm too involved in this. I need to step away here. try your best to let this be the next step in your journey to having other people support your business alongside you, because I think it's going to let you be a little bit more resilient for future times that you might have to step away or shift in focus. And I think also take advantage of that time to imagine what comes next. So for me, I was laying on that couch with a very sick baby with RSV on my chest when I realized that there was a piece of technology that I really wanted to build for Squarespace. I'm very annoyed with the current event calendar situation, and I want to create a new way to provide ticketing software through Squarespace Commerce. That came from the time that I was able to take and reset. It also generated this new YouTube channel I'm working on. The reason why I can now do those is because in preparation for my leave, I took time away or took time in advance to bring in a sales team who now can be talking to clients as a part of our team, letting me do other stuff. This is the thing that I was able to get out of this, is it really transitioned me and my role and how I saw our business to be able to see things more clearly. It was very stressful to go into this time and feel like I was going to mess it up. But coming out, it's been like a complete rebirth. So lots of stuff to cover. Team, hopefully this is a good timeline for us, but that's kind of the general overview for me.
So Becca, that's where we're going next. I'm going to turn this light off because it's really annoying.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So I do have some slides to share, and I should count this first. I'm just going to go with the whole dang screen here, see if this will work. Fingers crossed. Can you guys see my slides or not at all? Maybe? Yay. Okay, cool. Give it a thumbs up. All right. So I did a little presentation, but as everyone who's met me before knows, I'm a fast speaker. So we're going to be just fine here, Liz. So planning to pause. As you saw when we first checked in on this call here, I've got little baby Zoe with me. She was just going to make an appearance, but her dad is a paramedic and he got called in today. So it's just her and me running the show right now. So thank you everyone for being on board and understanding that this is just how life goes sometimes. So sorry if she's a little loud in the background because my office is also her nursery. We're doing our best. But when it came to this whole planning maternity leave thing, that's what I'm going to be talking about. So planning to pause. If you don't know me, I'm Becca Harpain. I'm a Squarespace expert, a YouTube content creator. I'm a circle leader. And now I'm also a mom to sweet little baby Zoe. One of my favorite pictures of her right here. I love this one. So I needed to figure out how to DIY my maternity leave when I found out that I was going to need to take maternity leave. As much as I wanted to work through everything, we all know that's not quite possible, and it was important for me to plan time to take a break. So when it came to planning this myself, I took an honest look at the content I regularly create. Every single week, I do a tutorial video, I do an email newsletter, I do 2 blog posts. It's a lot of work. I also run my business. I do customer support. I have to manage my massive inbox, and I try so hard to create social content. I'm not that consistent with it, but gosh, I'm trying. So the biggest question was, how can I get all this done? Not just on time, but also in advance for those additional 3 months. That was a really big question. So the first thing I did was hire help. Hang on 1 second. She's getting a little rowdy. Let's move your little dragon. Oh, crinkly dragons are the best, you guys. So I hired help 3 months before my leave. The very first month, we shared my inbox together, and we worked on handling every single email that came in and creating a bank of response templates for real-life situations. I realized that customer support and inbox management was something that took up a majority of my time and something that I could hand off. So I hired help for this, and I was on standby for the first month of my leave to make sure that all these templates would work and everything is good. And just as Kelsey was saying, if you set it up before you go, keep it going. She's still running my inbox to this day, and I love it. It saved me a lot of time. So one other thing that I noticed was a friend of mine, Jordan Gill, took a very similar approach. 1 quick second. Hey, you're being real fussy. Come on. Oh, the star of the show wants to be here. I didn't need that whining in the background there. We get to see the star, little baby Zoe. So my friend Jordan Gill, she runs an online business called System Saved Me. She and I were in a mastermind together years ago, and she gave me a genius idea when I was starting to absolutely stress about how the heck I was going to get all my regular content done 3 months in advance. And she said, tap into your community. We have a bunch of Squarespacers here ready to support Squarespacers. All of us on this panel, many of us in the audience, we create content for each other to support each other. And that was when I created Borrow My Channel. Now, fun fact, borrowmychannel.com was available. I still own that domain. So if you want to learn about the details of what I set up for my maternity leave, just go to borrowmychannel.com and you can check it out. But the whole premise here was that I realized there were so many people in my community that had things to teach each other. And what I needed to set up was a way for them to connect. I had Squarespacers that I knew and students that wanted to learn more about Squarespace. So I realized I need to reach out to people for support to get my community through this. Now, I was very protective and selective. I sent the Borrow My Channel link to people that I knew personally, companies I was affiliated with that I'd already worked with before, and I insisted on working together with them for the content. I wanted to make sure that my subscribers on my email list and my YouTube channel would get information they really did need, stuff that would actually be helpful. Collaboration was key. So we discussed content strategy. The person provided the video. Then I created or edited the title, the description, and a little email introduction to introduce them to my community. And then we both approved what was scheduled. Liz, our fabulous creator here of the summit, she was my very first guest for Borrow My Channel. She did 2 videos and it was amazing. The feedback I got from that initial one was fantastic. And it made me feel so much more confident about truly stepping away for the other 11 weeks. So the results, baby nerd. My email engagement stayed high, my channel kept growing, my audience was inspired, and most importantly, my friends had new connections. I was able to really foster a bigger community and a lot of connection within our community, and it just made everybody feel good. So I'm really happy that I took that approach to my maternity leave, asking for help. A strong, supportive community helped me stay in business, and I will be forever grateful. My channel is still going strong, and I've got a lot more to do here, and it was just so wonderful to see everybody thrive as I was able to step away and being able to ask for help from the people that I wanted to learn from. That was definitely the biggest game changer for me. So, speaking of community, inside the speaker page, you'll find a link there. I was pretty inspired on maternity leave to start my own community. To mention her one more time, the fabulous Christy Price launched her YouTube Growth Lab on this platform called School. And I realized this is a great way for us to connect to Squarespacers. I was doom scrolling way too much while nap trapped and feeding this little monkey here. So I hopped on there and I created a community just for us Squarespacers. So if you're looking for more connection, more community, for learning from others, I want to facilitate what I started with Borrow My Channel and keep it going as I slowly come back to work. So again, you'll find more information about that on the speaker page. But the number one message from my whole presentation here is that the strong, supportive community helped me stay in business. You've got a lot more resources than you realize, and a lot of them you didn't even have to make yourself.
Sorry, that was amazing. I had to unmute myself. I was clapping and then I thought, nobody can hear this. That was amazing. Thank you. And thank you, Kelsey. I don't know if I felt like I was just more timing for us all after you'd finished yours, and it was really wonderful, both of those presentations. Thank you.
And now, before we hand off to the next one, I just want to mention Bonnie in the chat there said, I love Borrow My Channel. She learned some great Squarespacers she hadn't heard of before. I think it was so fun for everyone, and I'm so glad I went through that process.
Yeah, I just saw that too. I just saw that and I was like, that's really cool. I love that it did work, and that feedback. Okay, Kate, you're up.
All right, let's go. Okay, can everyone see my slides?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this more from the financial aspect of how to prepare for extended time off, because I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, and I know that I have in the past. Most of you know who I am. If you don't, you can go to my website, About page, katescott.co/about. I have like a whole timeline of where my business has been over the last 7 years, so you can read that if you're curious. But basically, I transitioned from services into digital products a number of years ago now. And that has really set the stage for me to be able to more easily take extended time off in my business. Now, back in 2022, I actually had to take 5 months off unexpectedly due to an injury. And I still ended up making 6 figures that year because evergreen sales of digital products were so easy and strong back then. But it's not 2022 anymore. And that kind of approach of just winging it doesn't really work the same way. So if you want to take time off in your business now, there's probably one of two scenarios that you find yourself in. One is that you're not planning to take time off anytime soon. And if you don't have, like I do, a chronic illness, or you don't have a small child, or you're not planning to get pregnant anytime soon, you may feel like you don't actually need to prepare for something like that. But if that's the situation that you find yourself in, now is actually the perfect time to start preparing, because you're in a place to plan ahead and to feel like you're totally on top of anything that comes your way. Scenario number 2, you may know that you need to take time off sometime soon. So maybe over the next 6 months, you know that you're going to have to take maternity leave, or like me, you're going to be having surgery. And so you need to kind of figure out what you're doing right now and how you're actually going to pay for that time off and cover all of your living expenses. So no matter which scenario you find yourself in, whether you need to take time off soon or not, start planning now. I cannot emphasize that enough, because it really does make such a huge difference. So let's say that you find yourself in scenario 1. You're not planning to take time off anytime soon. So this is the time to make a plan before you know that you need to have a plan. And this is really simple. It's not complicated at all. I want you to choose a fixed dollar amount or a percentage that you can commit to putting into your emergency savings account every single month, and start doing it now. I don't care if it's $20, if that's all you can afford. Just start putting a little something away. It's going to start earning interest, and it's going to build over time. Now, if you're the type of person that tends to dip into your emergency savings account more frequently than maybe you should, or maybe you dip into it for things like, if your car is broken down and you need to fix it or something like that, you may want to have a separate savings account that is specifically labeled emergency time off. Basically, the idea is that you don't want to touch that money until you actually need to take time off. And that's how it's going to really build and grow over time. Now, let's say that you are planning to take time off sometime in the near future, and you need to generate quick cash. This is where the easiest way to do this is to launch something, or to have a sale or some kind of promotional event. Now, you can do that with a service. You can pre-sell a service and try to fit in as many clients as you can before you take that time off. But the thing about client work is that it's very time consuming. And so you may not have enough time to fit in, 5 clients or however many clients you need to actually pay for all of your time off. So for me, I've tried services. I sell digital products, I sell courses, and I have found that launching a course is really the ideal product for this scenario, because course launches tend to bring in more revenue in a shorter period of time with relatively minimal effort. Now, it's best if you have a pre-created course that you can then just have a launch for. So if you're thinking about creating a course, if this is something that you've thought about doing before, then I would recommend that you actually start working on that again now. Get a launch under your belt. And then when you come to the point where you have to take time off, you'll already have the course created. You'll already have launch assets that you can recycle and reuse. And it's going to be a lot easier the second, the third, and the fourth time around. Now, unlike selling a service, you've already put in the bulk of the work up front. So this is such an easier way to do things. I don't know what I would do right now if I was still selling services, because there's just not enough time to pack in the number of clients that I would need to pay for my time off. So I'm having surgery at the end of May, and this is how I'm prepping for my recovery time after surgery to make sure that I can cover all of my expenses. So I'm planning to take at least 6 weeks off, maybe more. I'm kind of in my mind preparing for, even 2 to 3 months off if I need to, because I may be doing physical therapy and stuff afterwards. And there's 2 kind of aspects to my planning. So I have been putting a small percentage of my monthly income into my emergency savings account for over 5 years. And I've now grown that amount to almost $15,000. So that right there takes a huge edge off. If I need to dip into that, it's there. That would cover, 2 to 2.5 months of expenses for me. Now, I would like to avoid dipping into my emergency fund if I can, so that it's still there for me in the future. And I also am going to have some really huge medical bills on top of my living expenses, which is going to probably cost more than 15 grand. So I'm going to be doing an affiliate launch for my course, my existing course that I've already launched in the past, just about 3 weeks before my surgery. And that, because I've done this before, I know kind of how much I can count on that to bring in. So it'll be probably somewhere between $25,000 and $40,000. And that's going to help to cover those other expenses. And together, these two strategies, the planning ahead and the having a launch, should be enough to comfortably get me through my recovery period, even if it goes longer than what I am planning. Now, if you're curious about creating a course, if that's something that you would like to do, if that's a strategy that you're interested in, I am going to be launching a course specifically for designers and creatives on how to create a course. You can scan the QR code to join the waitlist. I'm going to be doing a free masterclass in a few weeks as well, specifically about what launch strategies are actually working in this current economy and climate. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. And you can also grab my business finance tracker for free today. It's normally $47. It's a really great way to kind of plan your income, expenses, and profit in your business. I also use a version of this to track my personal finances to prepare for time off. So if you're interested in that, you can go to katescott.co/tracker, and there will be a pre-applied coupon code. So that's basically my whole plan for taking time off. And it is a lot simpler, again, because I have transitioned into selling digital products.
Wow. Can I just say how interesting it is that everybody's talks are so different? Like, you're focusing on finances and launching, which is like what you do, and Becca was like the community, and she's got a YouTube community, so she's got a big channel that, you know, people can speak on. Kelsey, you've got your team, and, you know, like, thinking about who you are as a person and what you're offloading and thinking about before. I'm loving this so much.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. My name is Poppy. I'm calling from Glasgow in Scotland, and I run a company called Showcase Creative Studio. My background is actually that I'm an opera singer, and then COVID happened and we all lost our jobs, and in dribs and drabs people asked me to design websites, and then it really took off. So sabbaticals, yeah, I take 3 months of every year away from designing websites, and I coined the term creative sabbatical. So I very much am still a creative and still an artist and still a performer, but I was really inspired by two things. The first thing is I read a book called Company of One by Paul Jarvis, and it massively inspired me. The theory of this book is the guy says, instead of thinking about scaling something, imagine what your dream lifestyle is. And when you've thought about what your dream lifestyle is, maybe that's that you're skiing for 6 months of the year. Then think about how you have to get the figure of what you need for the whole year. And how can you make that in 6 months so you can spend the other 6 months skiing? And that really got me thinking, because obviously I was locked into the kind of hustle culture of I need to work year round, working on, it's just me designing in my team, and then I have 2 people in my team who run the sales. And I was really inspired, and I thought, I want to take 3 months of the year away from designing websites so that I can be actually practicing my creativity. So my best friend is an A&E doctor, and she regularly takes sabbaticals from medicine to travel the world with medicine. So she's just been doing expedition medicine up Kilimanjaro. She was a helicopter medic in Australia for a bit. So she takes these kind of side quests which are related to her career, but she's growing like laterally. So I was really inspired by these things. So today my sabbatical has begun, actually, just today. But the past 2 years, I've took 3 months of the year out. The past 2 years I did a lot of world travel. Now the really important link I have found is that these creative sabbaticals, as I call them, are not disconnected from my business and are not disconnected from my storytelling on social media. So I market my business, mainly my communities on Instagram, and that my creative sabbatical is actually a season of the year. So I like to run my business seasonally. And in that season, it's all about my creative growth, my personal growth, because my work and the clients I work with, the key value, the key message of what I do is about becoming who you are as an artist, being authentic. And the work we do is about representing artists authentically online. So there's a lot of kind of philosophy to what we do. And so it was like, I need to take this time to practice what I preach, whether that's traveling the world, whether that's studying. This time I'm going to be doing some really long hikes. And all of that goes on Instagram, and all of that is part of my storytelling, and all of that is part of the brand. Not in an advertising way, but in a really authentic, sharing this with my very small little community way. Now, the really important link I would like to say here is that when I'm on these sabbaticals, and I'm just about to take 2 months as of today, my team run the sales, and they do that year round. I'm the only designer, and the other two run the sales and do lots of data entry for me and things. So the business can keep going as they're running the sales. And while I'm off, they're collecting deposits for website projects for when I'm coming back. So their task is to book 3 months from when I'm back. So the cash flow is continuing, and we offer services. So we offer website projects. We don't do digital products. So I coin it a creative sabbatical, and I make it part of the business. So I make my stepping away part of the business rather than it's me. I always say I'm not taking time off, I'm taking time on the rest of my life. And that's a really big part of my message, because I come from opera singing, which was outrageously competitive and intense, and we study forever, and then we're auditioning and competing. And so it's a kind of antidote to that hustle culture and an antidote to that grind to say, I want to lead on me enjoying myself and doing healthy things, and that's part of it. So that's my time away from the business, and it's been wonderful to hear everybody else's angles and planning, what needs to be you and what doesn't need to be you. And when I'm off, I'm on Instagram every single day. And so it's knowing that I need to do that. So it's just, I guess, figuring out what needs to be you and what can't be dropped, and having the infrastructure that bookings can be made, and setting your expectation before you go off. So my expectation to my team is that the next 2 months when I'm back are fully booked. And that's the definition of success, and setting that expectation. So yeah, Company of One by Paul Jarvis. Really recommend it. Might not be everybody's cup of tea. But for me, it was really inspirational to think about actually designing your dream lifestyle, not the dream business, but the actual dream lifestyle.
Well, I created a course called Design a Life You Love, so that this speaks to me so much. And I just want to very quickly, because we are running over quite a bit, just say as well, because you're an opera singer, I know you'll talk about this in your Instagram chat in a bit, but you are very niche. So you speak to other opera singers and musicians. So if you're speaking to an orchestra conductor, you know how to speak the language. And then the people that are on your sales team, you employ them for a certain amount of hours a week, and they're other people in the music industry. So they know the language to talk to the conductor to say, yeah, no, we can do that, blah, blah, blah. So I think sometimes to some people, solo people of one, when you say you've got a team, it might seem quite scary, but you're employing somebody 10 hours to get you work and to take your sales calls so you can design. And I think that that's really smart. Guys, this was amazing. If everybody wants to come back in.
And thank you all for being so patient as I learned this whole comeback to work thing. Having Zoe interrupt the presentation was just such a real life moment for me. So thank you guys.
I think that was my favorite part though, because that is real life, right?
It is. She's now down for a very comfortable nap. Yep. That was so much Squarespace. She needed to sleep about it.
Right. Everybody, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate your time. You're amazing. And I think, Poppy, I will see you shortly. And everybody else, I will see you at some point in the future. Mwah, mwah. Lots of love.